It is indeed unbelievable what Jimmy Kimmel will do. Folks, let me set the stage for you. Here's why he had to maybe fake a response to the Trumpster, and it turned into a dumpster fire for him. TV Insider has this by Martin Holmes. Jimmy Kimmel fires back after Trump, calls him a rating-starved hack. Jimmy Kimmel's back. Here he is. He says, Jimmy Kimmel returned to late night on Monday following a one-week hiatus for the Winter Olympics, and he had a lot to catch up on, including fresh jabs directed at him by President Donald J. Trump. Now, it makes a lot of this. It's one of those emails that the political organizations send out to try to fundraise. President Trump probably had absolutely nothing to do with this. I'm not saying he wouldn't mock Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, he absolutely would. But I think what's happened here is one of those fundraising emails from some staffer somewhere or some organization, maybe not even a line, went out and Jimmy Kimmel grabbed onto it and said, oh boy, here we go. So it says, over the break, a fundraising email from one of his many money grabs was sent to a number of followers, Kimmel shared. The subject line was Donald J. Trump, get Trump out of your mouth, which again, somehow not a line from, yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah. Kimmel retorted, for the record, I was in my house doing nothing. He reads the email, blah, 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 blah. And then if we go down to the bottom, Kimmel talks about, oh, by the way, we will have a special show tomorrow night and laugh at all the stupid things he has to say at the MAGA State of the Union. So Jimmy Kimmel gets a random email sent to him or sent to somebody else, and he decides he's going to use that to launch his ratings into the stars because they've not been doing so well. And how's he going to do it? He's going to have a response. Jimmy Kimmel is going to reply to the State of the Union. Well, let's just say it didn't go the way that maybe it should have. Breaking, Jimmy Kimmel released his reaction the next day to President Donald Trump's State of the Union address, which according to his show schedule that Dom Lucre pulled up, he filmed at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, which means it happened before, the State of the Union. Now, folks, we've got some indication that this is true. And what is it? Well, you'll notice that Jimmy Kimmel responds, but without any specificity whatsoever to anything that actually happened in the State of the Union. But worse than that, there's not a single time that the camera cuts to the audience, and based on what we can hear, and we'll play the clip in just a second, it sounds like they just played a laugh track. It doesn't sound like a real audience. So what we're thinking now is that because Jimmy Kimmel laid down the gauntlet and said, oh, I'm going to respond to your State of the Union. Folks, he had dinner plans, okay? Don't. Oh, are we going to expect it? No, he can't stay up that late. They don't do this live. Jimmy Kimmel apparently pre-recorded without knowing what was going to be in the State of the Union with enough ambiguity that he could get away with it to an empty audience, filmed it. That's what we're looking at. That's what we think happened. And then they played a laugh track over it to make it seem like he was responding. Here's the clip.
Where we are still all digesting the Burger King speech tonight, and what a speech it wasn't, huh? I can't believe America missed an all-new Will Trent for this one.
Now, this has got audio that's going to get us so we'll have to play it in bits and pieces. I didn't know that it had the little music behind it. Here's another piece of the clip.
Those who come in legally to be his next wife. So that's something. He bragged about ending DEI. He bragged about kicking 2 million.
Okay. Now, what they did, it looks like, Christian, is they got the transcript from what, because they released what the speech is going to be.
Yeah.
They perused it as fast as they could, pre-recorded it, no cut to the audience, and used pre-recorded laughter or whatever because it's a little, what we say? It's a little effusive, the laughter at some of these places that are not true. And I wish we could play those things, folks. That was intended, but darn it, it's got this strange audio, and I just don't feel comfortable playing the strange audio to see, not the time I want to go down for that one. If I'm going to lose the channel, it's not going to be because I played spooky music over the top of Jimmy Kimmel. Christian, what do you think about this? How desperate is it for them to play it this way?
Well, I'm aghast that you would even suggest that Jimmy Kimmel wasn't completely truthful to his audience, because he's been shooting straight for quite some time. I mean, he told us Antifa doesn't exist. He got the wrong killer allegedly of Charlie Kirk. I mean, so many great facts have been twisted into a pretzel by Jimmy Kimmel. So I don't know why we'd even assume that he might be, he might have, the bed in this point. So yeah, it just, I mean, we're going to have to, in 5 to 10 years, look back at this period of time and just marvel at what late night television has become. I mean, this is an institution that was in so many decades giving us joy and entertainment and kind of gently caressing us off to bed. And now it's this. It's just, I often on X, I'll say there's just too much comedy these days because they don't even try for a laugh. And the laughs they try for are just so hamstrung. I mean, was there
It was just lazy.
FCCU or something? I mean, my gosh. I mean, a third grader could come up with a better roast. It really is remarkable. And the lack of awareness is amazing. I just really wonder the people who watch. I mean, listen, I watch Gutfeld and I really enjoy it. And not all of your joke lands and some things make me groan, but it's a pretty good show and it's robust and it's silly and it's got an energy to it. But I gotta say, if it was just a bunch of really lame, limp jokes, one note, no disagreements, Kat Timpf often, fights with Gutfeld, I wouldn't watch it. I'd rather watch anything else. I just don't understand who's watching these shows. God bless them, I guess, but I can't understand it. I don't know what's entertaining there.
I've got the clip now. We've been able to find the original without the spooky audio over the top. Here's what Jimmy Kimmel did. And as we play this, folks, I want you to think about the laziness. Okay? Just how much are these people paid? And they can't wait until the State of the Union's over and go live and do that. Like, oh my gosh, you're getting all this money. People are watching you. And you got to be like, oh man, I got dinner plans tonight. We really can't. Here's Jimmy Kimmel. Here's the clip.
Where we are still all digesting the Burger King speech tonight. And what a speech it wasn't, huh? I can't believe America missed an all-new Will Trent for this one. It was angry, right? It was an angry speech. The theme of tonight's speech was all foreigners are murderers. And Trump just,
Now remember, he hasn't seen this, folks. This is recorded before Trump actually gives the speech. He hasn't, this is a pre-recorded assumptive protest.
Said 0 illegal aliens have been allowed to the United States on his watch, but the door is always open to those who come in legally to be his next wife. So that's something. He bragged about ending DEI. He bragged about kicking 2 million people off food stamps. It was like a Christmas message from the Grinch.
And again, he doesn't know if Trump's actually going to say any of this stuff. So he's being ambiguous and making these jokes. He doesn't talk about the Olympic hockey team. He doesn't talk about Trump, asking politicians to stand or sit based on what they believe, because he doesn't know any of this because it hasn't happened at the time of the recording.
Trump applauded.
And that laugh line right there, I'm going to play it one more time, folks. That's why when you hear this is when I go, laugh track.
From the Grinch. Trump applauded the efforts of a World War II vet who liberated an internment camp. At the same time, he is building new ones here in the United States. He claimed gas is down to $1.85 a gallon. When you ramble mostly incoherently for 2 hours, is that technically still a speech, or does it at some point become a conniption?
So there you go. There you go. Now, how did they know that it was going to go almost 2 hours? Because the programming notice, and they give the alert how long they plan to go. But they're guessing. They're trying to figure it out. And this is the Jimmy Kimmel Show now. This is late night now. Nat, there is nothing fun or funny or pleasant it is worse than MS Now. I would rather Rachel Maddow take this over at this point. Please. And listen, I don't want any of this to be partisan. So you can throw in Sean Hannity. You can do it either way. I don't want Rachel Maddow or Sean Hannity in charge of late night. And they're not as bad as Kimmel.
I think the format is done, and especially now that we have other types of media, as we've been mentioning, streaming, YouTube, other shows, other types of network. I think it's time to move past it. And at this point, not to criticize anybody specifically, but should we wonder more about the people that are watching the show or the ones that are producing it? I think maybe they thought, let's just record a bunch of different things so we get out ahead of it, and then just cut in what did and didn't hit with what actually was said during the State of the Union. And that might be safer than maybe going a bit too off the cuff and not having time to, like what happened a few months ago, to mitigate whatever reaction could happen from saying something that he really shouldn't, like he already did.
And it's so desperate culture, and we can sniff this out so easily. If you have a modicum of skepticism, the fact that it stays right on them, that they don't show the audience, it feels so synthetic. Like I feel like they should start putting a little symbol, a little logo, a little overlay on the top screen for Kimmel. And it should show for the assisted living crowd, laugh, applause, cry, weep. Like it should give the sign like they give the audience inside the room to those who are watching, because you just don't know. Like, is this supposed to be funny or sad? I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it.
I think they stole the applause track from Friends episodes, so I think that's exactly where that came from. I normally I can't pick out where the laugh track specifically is from, but it's somewhere between Friends and How I Met Your Mother. It was.
I love the
also
'90s laugh
too-
tracks.
it
I love
was
I
all-
love the overabundance guy, the guy who just it's not very funny. Carl Winslow does something, or Bob Saget, wants to clean something a little bit extra. Danny Tanner, and there's one guy always in the laugh track. Everybody else like ha ha ha, and you can hear. And there's one guy who's just I love that. It's a dead giveaway culture. They had that guy.
Yeah, I have my quibbles about Kimmel, but the problem is that, as Nat already pointed out, this is already kind of a dead programming idea. These shows are not what they used to be. They don't have the guests they used to have. They don't have the refinement that they relied on, and they don't have the production values that you used to be able to count on with somebody like Johnny or Leno or everybody who succeeded successfully, even Dave. I was very complimentary about Conan recently, and I think Craig Ferguson was a genius. But I think this current generation of talking heads is probably the most disappointing. And because Colbert was such a one-trick pony, he put himself in such a tight little box that he's now losing his show here in the next couple of months. I think May will be his last show. And look, as things move around and as ABC is revealed to be as partisan as they are across the board, and not just the changes at Disney, but in not just their news coverage, but in all the shows. And obviously The View is regularly, being scrutinized. I think this is only going to illustrate the reasoning why so many people are abandoning the media. It's why the disparity in media trust is out there. You can't rely. The reason things should be funny or are mostly funny is because they ring with truth. Right. It's why there's always like a stereotype, figured into a joke. Right. Everybody has the same common understanding. It makes the joke funny. And so this is where Kimmel gets it wrong. And a lot of that's probably because one of his head writers and producers is his wife, who has a serious case of TDS. So.
Right. I think he's held hostage by the whole thing. And I'll tell you this, I actually think he is a tremendous mouthpiece. He is a great advertiser and communicator for the right. I don't think he's persuasive to anybody in the middle. I think he's too toxic. I really think that it's the nonstop propagandizing. He is a hammer on nails. He is a gavel. And I don't think that he's moving anybody. He's just speaking to the bubble. And I don't know why Disney wants to continue that, but I know Dana Walden is besties with Kamala Harris. So maybe Dana Walden, the new head of all things creative at Disney, will keep him on past the 1-year contract extension. But I think he's heading for extinction one way or the other. Whether he's there or not, the audience has left. They've gone elsewhere. This thing down to what was the last time I saw? 1/7 of the audience that Johnny Carson typically had. 1/7.
When you think about what we can do on social media and YouTube and elsewhere, you can almost read the jokes in real time if you're watching the State of the Union or something else. So a show like Kimmel, like our panelist said, it's just a relic. But what they could do is really connect dots. They could contextualize what's going on. They can kind of go beyond the soundbite and build comic narratives that were really interesting. So, I think they could compete, or at least try to compete in that fashion, but they can't, and they don't. And what you get is just really thin. If you listen to those clips we heard, it was just, you could tell that he couldn't even defend his own arguments. Like he was, saying it's bad to smash DEI. Well, why is it bad to smash DEI? Are you in favor of DEI? You're a white male who's been in your job for like 20 years now. Why aren't you giving it up to someone else?
That's a great point, Christian. The white dude. The middle-aged white dude's telling you, oh, we gotta say that DEI.
It's so lazy. It's absolutely lazy. These guys should be working double and triple time to make these formats cool again, to make them relevant again, to do something novel. Instead, they just walk out and they give a monologue. It's still happening. And it's not clever or interesting. They're not trying to change anything. They're just going down with the ship. And, as far as, changing hearts and minds, look at Bill Maher. Bill Maher is provocative. He's prickly. You don't exactly know where he's going to fall on certain issues. Yeah, he's on the left. Yeah, he hates Trump. But he's going to dodge and weave. He's going to give you something interesting and thoughtful. And you could tell his brain is working when he gives his monologues too. Mostly. And there have been times like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that. But generally speaking, that's a guy who could be persuasive in a way. He mentioned Sean Hannity before, not to pick on him, but like, I know exactly what Sean Hannity, for the most part, is going to say to a degree. So, I mean, that's fine. And he's good at what he does. And there's nothing wrong with him. But I think a Bill Maher is more of a provocateur who actually talks to people on the right, is willing to have those conversations. And they're far more robust than Jimmy Kimmel going on with AOC, which is just a snooze fest at any time. It's just, they don't care. They don't want to save the ship. They just want to go down with it.
Christian, I got to ask then. So, do you think that because Maher is more willing to talk to people, especially on his podcast show, that he's going to keep the level of popularity? He's been building it actually going forward. Do you think that that's kind of the only late show format that'll survive? Is the more Joe Rogan type of thing?
I mean, I would much rather watch Club Random, his show, than almost anything else we're talking about. I agree, because the conversations are real, they're raw. There's some booze and marijuana involved, so it gets a little silly at times. But it's unpretentious, it's unrehearsed. Would you rather watch that or watch Jimmy Kimmel kiss up to another politician or sell the same jokes? Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, he did Club Random for the freedom not to talk about politics, and he does talk about a wide range of issues, but it's far more exciting. I don't know what the ratings for Real Time are and what the ratings for Club Random are. I mean, clearly good enough to keep both on the air and both existing. But then again, look at what it must cost to make Club Random. It's one room, maybe 2 or 3 cameras at best. There's no script. There's no production values. And yet it's wildly entertaining, as opposed to a Jimmy Kimmel, which has got the studio and all the accoutrement, as you might say.
The staffers, the writing room. Wow. Major difference in budgets.
Yeah. And do you think, just one last question, if you'll indulge me, I'm sorry. It's just whenever I get the chance to talk to you, I always want to ask you questions. So do you think that having the nature of that show be so clippable, right, for modern media, do you think that aids in its distribution and its popularity? Whereas, even Real Time has the clippability, but Jimmy Kimmel doesn't. And many of these other late night shows don't seem to have those kinds of viral clips, or they don't seem to work as well.
Well, they don't have the viral clips because there's nothing worth sharing. I mean, what if we just heard a clip of Kimmel? What do you share from that?
Right.
I don't know. But when you watch Club Random, you could hear John Mellencamp saying that Black Americans are in the same struggle as they were during the slavery days, which he said more or less. I mean, you get some really interesting thoughts that come out of that conversation, and good back and forths and arguments and agreeing to disagree. That's far more engaging than Jimmy Kimmel shaking his fist and tearing up again. I mean, well, actually, that I'd watch that in a viral clip. So maybe I should contradict myself there. But yeah, it's just more interesting. That's why Joe Rogan matters, because it's 3 hours of no rules, no laws, no boundaries. It's just anything goes. I grew up on Howard Stern. That's what the way he was forever. You never knew what you'd expect. You didn't even know when the commercial break would come on, because he would blow past the commercials. It was just so fun and exciting, and there's nothing exciting about late night TV. The most exciting thing about late night TV was that Jimmy Fallon actually interviewed Greg Gutfeld, someone who's, you can't talk to him, and he did. And they had a pleasant exchange. What was that a big deal? Because nobody does that these days. That's how safe and afraid they all are.
In the bubble. And never, folks, touch the bubble, because bubbles, they pop. It's always sad when one of these video ends, and yet it is the beginning of the wait for the next one to land. 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. And by the way, there's plenty more on our partner channels. That Part Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place. And go check out the original music we have on stations like Vacation Radio. We'd love to have you, love to entertain you. At least we'll do a better job than some of the current entertainment companies. Folks, like, share, subscribe, and you know what? Drop a comment right on down below. Share this out anywhere you go on social media. And until the next time, we have the honor, the pleasure of getting to spend time with you when you choose to invite us into your day to add the value that we hope to bring your way. We ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
There are men who go to sea to find fortune. Men who go to sea to lose themselves. I went to sea to find honor. Since I was a boy, I was forged in discipline, faith, duty. They called me loyal. They called me righteous. They called me useful. But the sea does not care what a man is called. Only what he becomes when the world takes everything from him. I prayed for peace, and the world answered with only death. I have seen honor used as a mask, and sin used as a shelter. The devil walks plainly in this world without shame or fear, and now the ocean carries whispers of men who believe they can burn faith out of this world. They are wrong. My name is Jonathan Reed. My story has only just begun.